Today we're going to be working on lesson 9.3, equivalent fractions and decimals. Equivalent is just another way of saying equals. So Daniel spent a day hiking through a wildlife preserve. During the first hour of the hike, he drank 6/10 liter of water. How many hundredths of liter did he drink? So you're underlining what you need to find, which is how many hundredths of a liter did he drink, and then how can you represent that? So you can represent it as either a fraction or a decimal. So one way of looking at it is to write 6/10 as an equivalent or equal fraction with a denominator of 100. So you can either look at it from the model version, which is looking at 6/10, where you have one square broken up into 10. So therefore, when we're looking at 6/10, we're going to shade 6 out of the 10. Now, as we're switching that into 100 little squares in that big box, each of these still equals a 10th over here, like 1/10, but in here it actually equals 10 100ths. So we'd have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 100ths. So therefore, that's how we get that 60. Now, a way of looking at it just from a record perspective is to multiply both the numerator, or top number, times 10, and the denominator times 10. As we're going along further with this, we realize that if we do the same thing to the top, or the numerator, as we do to the bottom, the denominator, then we get an equal fraction. So 6 times 10 is 60, and they've already given you 10 times 10 equals 100. Now that's the fraction version. Now when we're looking at the decimal version, we're writing 6/10 as a decimal. 6/10 is the same as 6/10 and 0/100. So therefore, we still have no ones. So we're writing a 0 there. We're bringing the decimal down. Again, like they said with your thought process, that you're putting 6 in the 10ths place and then a 0 in the hundredths. So therefore, Daniel drank 60 hundredths or 60 hundredths of a liter of water. And we're not going over this part. So that was page 351. Now we're going on to page 352. Jasmine collected 30 hundredths liter of water in a jar during a rainstorm. How many tenths of a liter did she collect? Equivalent decimals are decimals that name the same amount. You can write 30 hundredths as a decimal that names tenths. So writing 30 hundredths as an equivalent decimal or equal decimal, you show 30 hundredths in this place value chart. So we write 0 again, put the decimal point down, put 3 in the 10ths place, and there are no hundredths. So in this way, we have 30 hundredths is equivalent to 3/10. So you're writing the 30 hundredths as 3/10. Another way of looking at it is writing the 30 hundredths as a fraction with a denominator of 10. So write 30 hundredths as a fraction. We got 30 hundredths. So 30 hundredths written as a fraction is 30 over 100. Now that we've figured out that, we're now going to divide the top numerator and the denominator, the bottom number, by 10, which an easy way of looking at it is if you're dividing a number by 10 and both of them have an end 0, you're just getting rid of that 0. So instead of 30 over 100, we now have 3 over 10. So two ways of looking at Jasmine collected either 3/10 or 3/10 of a liter of water. Okay, so now it's up to you to actually answer the rest of these. So with number 1, you're writing 4/10 as hundredths. So it goes over this first part of it in fraction form, and then this next part you're showing it in decimal form. So you're going to have to do numbers 2 and 3 here. So you're going to write the number as hundredths in fraction form and decimal form. So I should see 2 answers. So for example, 7/10 shows it in tenths, but I need it in fraction form over a number over 100, and then I need it in decimal form. And that would be for numbers 2 and 3. And then write the number as tenths in fraction form and decimal form. So again, 2 answers for numbers 5 and 6. Finally, we have number 18. David walked 5/10 of a kilometer from his home to the library. Which fraction is equivalent to 5/10? So you have A, B, C, or D. Then you also have to do 21 and 22. So 21, about 17 hundredths of the area of Rhode Island is inland water. Write 17 hundredths as a fraction. So they already have 17 hundredths as a decimal, they just want you to write it as a fraction. Number 22, Louisiana's lakes and rivers cover about 1/10 of the state. Write 1/10 as hundredths in fraction form and decimal form. That's it for today.